Go.
All right, coming up on this episode of Brew, Do You Even Talk Pinball? We're going to interview Keith Campanelli, the co-director of Ohio Pinbrewfest. We're going to do the usual news and updates, and finally, a review of Fishtails. All that and more coming right up.
Double super jackpot!
I need a ramp. I need a loop. I want targets I can hit. I need the scoop. I need a double super jackpot in my life. That's right.
And now, the Hall & Oates of pinball podcasting, Nick Lane and Kevin Manny of Buffalo Pinball. Whoa, boom shakalaka. What's going on, everybody? Happy March, almost April. It's episode 58 of Brody Even Talk Pinball. Nick Lane, how's it going?
We're officially 1 year into doing this podcast remotely.
We are.
Which is, I think we found a good groove. This is made it happen, made it work. I like just waking up and going downstairs and putting the computer on and doing this. It's working out.
Beats the drive, but like you've said, the chemistry of the show is a little different. Like you got that inherent latency over the internet, but I think we figured it out.
I think we've got it. Yeah. I'm feeling better about it. So
nice. It's a good fallback plan for the future too, if there's a snowstorm or whatever.
That's right.
Excellent.
That's right.
So yeah, we are 1 month closer to vaccination, hopefully, and getting back to normal. We got lots to come ahead on the show for you guys. Before we get started, why don't we thank our sponsors? Nick, I think it's your turn to thank the sponsors this month.
Happy to do that. Get it up on the screen. I believe it or not, I don't have it memorized verbatim, but all right. First of all, our premier featured sponsor, Pin Stadium, pinstadium.com, lighting kits for your pinball machine. Fantastic premium lighting kits for your pinball machine. They're app controlled. They've got various models or different kind of configurations of what you can get. So easy to install that I did it myself.
That's saying
That's Pin Stadium. Use a coupon code Buffalo to save 10%. Highly recommend. I think it's I'm sort of mixed on mods, but there's definitely games where I'm like, I can't live without a Pin Stadium on it. And then it's a little dangerous because once you get a Pin Stadium on your game, on one game, you're going to want it on all of them. So just be careful. Double Danger Pinball. Use code Buffalo to save. I don't know. Do you even have our shirts? I don't think they have our shirts anymore.
Yeah.
Moving on. They're actually not a sponsor anymore. All right, we'll update that.
We still love you.
I think we're working on a shirt solution, by the way. Right now, people can't get our merchandise, but we are working on something.
Yeah.
Kevin and I will talk after this.
Big things ahead.
All right, anyways, moving on. The Mod Couple Pinball.com is still a sponsor. The Mod Couple Pinball.com. Again, listen, high praise coming from me. I'm not a big mod guy, but they won me over. I've got their mods on my Pirates, and I'm sure when I get an itching for some more mods and I'm just looking to put some money into games, that's my first stop. I really love the quality of their work. FlippingOutPinball.com. They are the go-to distributor, sponsor of Buffalo Pinball. They have basically every pinball machine that's manufactured out there to buy. Zach Many will take care of you. Heard nothing but good things about his customer service. I know he cares. He's a collector and player and in the community, so check it out when you want to buy your new in-box pinball machine. Pinside.com, where it all started for me in terms of the pinball community. You've got news, you've got reviews of games, and you have the forum. So if you have a tech question, want to see people's reaction to a new game that just came out, you just want to talk about whatever, that's where the pinball community gathers. Jersey Jack Pinball, makers of the most beautiful pinball machine on the planet Earth. Love Jersey Jack. So at some point, Kevin, they're going to have so many games that we can't announce them all, but we're just going to highlight their newest game, which is a major hit, Guns N' Roses Pinball. Check it out. Head over to jerseyjackpinball.com. Kevin is an owner.
I am.
Owner of it. Maybe me one day. We'll see. Pinball.edu, pinball raffle. So you want to go to pinballraffle.org. You can buy a raffle ticket to have a chance nearly every month to win a certain pinball machine while also supporting kids with autism, which is a fantastic program. So it's a win-win in my book. Community Beer Works, my favorite brewery in Buffalo, New York. Kevin doesn't even rink, and he likes Community Beer Works. Great people who are pro pinball. They're supporters of us. They believe in what we're doing, and if they didn't, I say that us beer, fantastic. TiltCycle.com. We love Dan Burfield. TiltCycle.com. If you got a game room, or you have money, even just your bedroom, bathroom, wherever, and you want some pinball art, this is authentic pinball art. He used upcycled pinball machine parts, playfields. That's TiltCycle.com. Does he still have a coupon code? He used to.
I don't think so.
Just throw Buffalo into everything and see what happens.
That's how it works.
That's my pro tip. All right. CometPinball.com. CometPinball.com is an OG sponsor of Ryan. We love. They have everything for your LED lighting needs. That's your one-stop shop. Want to make your pinball machine look good? Works in great conjunction, by the way, with Pin Stadium. So if your machine hasn't been LED'd yet, or you just want to give it your authentic touch, go to CometPinball.com. Pinballmix.com. Pinballmix.com will make a custom soundtrack for your pinball machine. Basically, then Pinball Mix some songs that you own, that you purchased, and he will do a remix of the every pinball machine soundtrack. Does a fantastic, I would say, highly professional job. He also has a discount code. So you use Buffalo, you get also an Easter egg in there. Then last but not least, another OG, Titan Pinball, TitanPinball.com. Takes silicone rings and has a fantastic anti-fatigue mat. Again, you're going to need, at some point, you're going to need replacement rings, or maybe you just have rubber rings on your pinball machine. Go to TitanPinball.com, put the silicone rings, last longer, they're better. Got tons of colors, and Eric is just a guy to work with. Happy to have them all sponsors.
Can I say, Attack, our friend Attack, tipped me off that the glow-in-the-dark flipper rings look really good on Guns N' Roses. So there's your tip. If you're putting an order in at Titan and you want to get some Titan rings for your new Guns N' Roses, glow-in-the-dark is cool looking.
Yeah, I heard somebody did a Bad Girls.
Oh.
Bad Girls. So I have not even tested it. I've not put it in yet, so hopefully
Nice.
It's accurate, but it's there. It exists.
All right. There you go. Okay. Without further ado, let's bring on Keith Campanelli. He is the co-director of the Ohio Pinbrewfest. That's taking place April 8th to 10th, 2021 at the Metroplex in Girard, Ohio. That's Northeast Ohio. Keith, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Keith reached out to us last year, said, I'm a big fan of the show, would like you guys to be involved. You guys come down for this new thing we're doing, Pinbrew. We're like, cool, sounds great. It's within striking distance. And then it didn't happen. You guys were like right after everything kind of shut down last year, right?
Yeah, we were, I think April 16th was the go date. Everything just started to fall apart in March. Yeah, fun stuff. So
what kind of impact did that have for you guys? Because, you get all geared up for a new show and then you got to cancel it. Well, like, how did that affect you guys?
It was kind of a hard pill to swallow originally because, again, you guys, we were talking earlier about setting up events and so much to do to get this thing going. And then we were right there. We had everything in line. We were ready to pull the trigger and the whole world came unglued. And, there's no way we can do this. So it was a little heart-wrenching. We had moved it back to August, hoping that this whole thing was going to just blow over in a few months. But obviously, a year later, just now getting near the other side of it. So strike two, we weren't going to do it. And then we were scheduled. We had already lined up this year. We were thinking of moving it back, talk to the people that at the Metroplex, like, we don't have any other room. So either there or you're not doing it. So it was, we would do this or we're done. So we pulled the trigger, and I'm kind of glad we did now, the way things are opening up out here. Looking promising.
Excellent. So for, this is a brand new show. Haven't done it before. Why don't you explain to us what the Ohio Pinbrewfest is and what people can expect to see and do at the show?
So the difference between this and conventional pinball shows is we take all the best aspects of a pinball show, the games, the tournaments, the vendors, and we added a couple features to it. We added craft beer and we added food. So a lot of times you'll go to one of these big venues and it's just pinball, but here you're going to be able to enjoy pinball. You can go to the beer garden, try out at least a minimum of 12 different craft beers from 6 different breweries in the area. And we will have different types of food coming through, setting up. And so you'll be able to just pretty much do everything you want there. Eat, drink, and be merry. So
That's awesome. So, as we've seen, beer and pinball tend to go together. Like Nick, when he was operating machines last year and the year before, they paired pinball machines with breweries, and that was good for them, right, Nick?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's not just like a phenomenon in Buffalo, right? Like I've seen people post location pinball. I've seen machines at other breweries around the country too. So it seems to work very well.
yeah, I have myself 2 breweries. I'm just adding a 3rd now. So, well, they love it. Goes together great.
Awesome. So, what makes now the right time for Pinbrew? You had to push it back a year, and I think you guys are the first event to come back, the first pinball event to come back after all this. So, why is it the right time for Pinbrew?
Well, we looked at it, and I talked to you guys a little bit. I have a background in medicine. I actually work in a physician's office. I actually run a physician's office. My wife is a doctor, and we have a lot of people in the medical field that are friends of ours. And we've been keeping track of things and seeing how things were progressing. And we did look at the date and consider, well, another month would be probably perfect, but we think that we can pull it off now. We looked at the data, we looked at what's going on, and I looked at what's going on around us here in Ohio. We've had events at the Metroplex going on since November. They've learned how to do it safely. They know what to expect. So it was one of those, somebody's going to pull the trigger, and we think we were at the right time, right place, and we decided to go forward. And since our first assessment of what it was going to be like when the show is here with vaccinations and all that, we're already surpassing that. So the state of Ohio already next week, vaccines down to, I think, 21 years old. And then even if there's extra, down to 18 years. So we vaccinated a good part of the population, and it's the right time. It's time to come back out, and pinball has had taken a beat, and we're all stuck in our basements, and we need to come out and enjoy each other's company again.
So why don't you talk a little bit about how the event is going to look different with COVID protocols and things like that? So what kind of changes can we expect at the show versus what you were planning from last year?
Well, we literally had all the machines, just like every other show, lined up in rows of 20 machines back to back, long hallways in the middle of the venue, and then all the vendors were on the outside. And we originally were taking 15,000 square feet. Metroplex was kind enough to give us all 30,000 square feet, no extra charge. They said, we know it's difficult, and this will help you guidelines. So what we're doing is we're actually sporadically putting the machines throughout the building. You'll come up on an area, there'll be 2 machines. You'll come up on another area, there might be 3 machines together. The vendors are all going to be spread out. There'll be machines in just different places throughout. So it's just going to be like walking through this large building. There's a main area, and once you go out of the main area, there's a lot of hallway, conference-y type areas, big open areas. So everything's just going to be spread out a little bit more. We are going to have a beer garden in the middle, based off of what Ohio allows us to do. Go to a restaurant, you sit down, you take your mask off. In that area, we'll have seating. You can purchase your beers. You can walk around with your beers. Right now, you'll still be wearing masks because that's a mandate. Distancing just enough with other people. But you'll be able to sit at the beer garden, sit down, take your mask off with your friends, and have a couple of beers and chat about, what's the next pinball machine wife's not going to let you buy.
So, excuse me. Talk about some of the challenges in organizing an event right now. What's the biggest challenge, would you say?
Everything together. It's just getting all the pieces of the pie together, because you're combining pinball, first getting all the vendors lined up and seeing who was coming. When we first started, we weren't sure if anybody was even going to want to come to a show, and we were lucky that all the vendors were like, yeah, we'll come, we'll do this. They all signed on again, and organizing the vendors, lining up the beer, getting the insurance. We use a 501c. We're using the Elser Project is our charity organization that the proceeds of the beer go to. So just aligning all that stuff. My first show, how many cups do you order? How many wristbands do you order? Where are you going to put this sign? Are you going to have a banner here? who's running the tournament, where are the trophies. There's just all those little pieces, and every day I just make a couple more notes. So there's no piece that's worse than any other. It's just making sure I didn't forget any pieces.
So you mentioned tournaments. There's some tournaments coming up, and also some special pinball machines that are going to be there, right?
Yes, we are pretty excited. We're going to have, and I don't know that anybody's seen them in the past. I know there were aliens or a few floating around, but Alien will be at the show. Cointaker is bringing that. Cointaker and Tilt Amusements will both be there. They're bringing all the latest Sterns. They'll be set up for free play with that. We do have a couple Multimorphics showing up at the show. You and I talked about that. I'm not sure if Heist will be one of those. I hope one of them will. We'll see if we can pull some strings. We got a couple Big Lebowski's going to be there. And then a lot of interesting different games that Marvin and I have collected over the years. We're bringing in some high-end restorations and some older games. That whole flavor of every piece that a good show can put on.
Awesome. So how many games do you anticipate there in total?
Right now, registered, we have over, between the arcades and the pinballs, we have over 100. But we expect to have, based off of what I know is also coming, definitely over 100 pinball machines and about 20 to 30 arcade games.
Nice. Nick, did you have any questions you wanted to ask Keith?
No, I just appreciate Keith joining us, and this is an event that I'd love to attend next year. Right, it checks the boxes of pinball, beer, and being within striking distance in terms of something that we can travel to and support. So catch you next year, man, and good luck with this year's event.
Thanks, appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, and good luck with the event. We look forward to seeing the reports on Pinside.
All righty.
All right, we'll hope to see you in person there next year.
Bet.
All right, take care, Keith. All right, Nick.
All right.
Why don't we roll into some pinball news?
Okay, let's do it.
Here's the tip. It's the latest pinball news. So hot, it's on fire. All right. Up first, we got a new hire at Stern, which is relevant to what we're going to be talking about later. Mark Panaccio, he's the new senior systems engineer at Stern. This comes to us via Pinball News. They reported on this. He coded Earthshaker, Elvira and the Party Monsters, Roller Games, Hurricane, and Fishtails. And Fishtails is the game we're reviewing later, so we'll talk a little bit more about Mark. But from there, he moved from Midway to work on video games, and he helped develop the Mortal Kombat series and NBA Jam. So he's got a pretty good history. I thought this quote was interesting from Pinball News. He says, since working on those games, he developed software for high-speed trading systems before his appointment at Stern Pinball. They kind of editorialize a little bit here. It says his network and low latency connectivity skills would appear to be a good fit at Stern as the company looks to launch its internet connectivity for features such as online software updates, remote diagnostics, and network gameplay. So we know that's been a rumor since that the lovely EULA they rolled out at the end of the year came out that they were looking to do some of this stuff there on their own. I think a hire like this solidifies that they're looking to do some of that stuff in-house.
They're going to be able to brick your machine if you change the code on it. So
that's right. Sorry, Pinball Mix. Or what's the other one? What's the software they use to do that? Pinball Browser. Yeah,
Pinball Browser.
It might be rough for Pinball Browser.
Oh, maybe you just don't connect it somehow. Maybe you figure out a way to do that.
Stay offline.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Don't put a plastic transformer in your pinball machine either, because that violates the EULA too, I think.
All right.
That's the Stern update, dude. Let me before we plow through the rest of this news. There's like nothing happening in pinballs.
I was just gonna. It's so funny, Kevin. It's so like. This is the hive mind, but that was I was just going to even interrupt you and be like, there's nothing going on in this month. Like, why the fuck are we even doing a podcast? It's like, I know we do a monthly podcast, but like, seriously, I'm sorry, I'm going to be a fucking asshole for a minute, but how do people do like these weekly? There's nothing to fucking talk about in pinball sometimes except bullshit. Mm-hmm. We can't even shit on. Do we even have anything to shit on Deeproot?
Oh yeah, we do. We got
all right, good. Thank God. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I got up this morning and fired up the computer.
All right.
The Fishtails things is good though. Fishtail, we're going to do a review, and especially games that people buy a lot.
We got some questions from listeners.
We had Keith at least. Keith helped us out. Thank you, Keith, for coming on. But Jesus Christ, there's and when I tell people like sometimes my name on Discord is Nick Buffalo Pinball and I play a game, like someone asks me what's that about, and I get into the podcast and I was like, dude, I don't even know we podcast once a month. Fucking there's no news to talk about.
Don't tune out. Keep listening, everybody. There's lots of good stuff ahead.
This is not a bullshitter. Just not a bullshitter. Let's go.
All right. So next up, I got in the rundown a little update from Multimorphic. Some personal experience that I've been lucky enough to get access to the big Heist update that we mentioned on the last show. So they're kind of the foundation of the game is the same, but they've added this massive wizard mode at the end, and to facilitate people getting there, they've adjusted the core gameplay on the game to make it more likely that you're going to get to the end and see this awesome wizard mode, right? So I've gotten there once. I've had the update since like Tuesday, I think. I haven't played it a ton. I played it a bunch the first night I got it, and a bunch another day. So it's not super easy to get to it. So it's not like a gimme to get there, but it's not out of the question either. So and it's really cool. I can't spill the beans yet, but I think we'll probably end up doing a special stream when it gets released and walk through and show it off for everybody. So stay tuned for that. So they made a great game even better, added more value to your game, and made a great game to the next level. So there you go. All right. The moment Nick Lane's been waiting for. It's time for your Deeproot update. So for this Deeproot update, let's take you over to not this one. We want to go to This Week in Pinball.
Is this the Jesus game?
No. We're not talking about the Jesus game yet.
Old Testament. He's not even in it. There isn't a Jesus. That's a sequel if they ever get there.
That's right. All right. So last month, to take you back, last month we talked about how games were going to ship in March, and everything was going good. They were waiting on their UL licensing and all that. So here's the update from Deeproot that they sent basically right after our last podcast. It says, "Dear Raza customer, we hope all is well. As promised before, we want to provide an update over what happened in February and where things are now. Bullet point 1, weather. Saw that one coming. As some of you might know, the winter storms in Texas last week resulted in prolonged power and water outages. The office was closed and all of us faced varying degrees of outages. The outages also impacted the lab doing our ULCE certifications. We hope those of you impacted are doing well and back to normal. Yes, pinball is easy. Thank you, Ball Search. ULCE, obtaining a full system certification rather than relying on a non-compliant cascade certification from just the power supply is important for us to be able to offer a quality, compliant, and reliable product. The primary goal for Raza in February was to get the ULCE certifications done. Unfortunately, the weather prevented that from happening. The last update we received prior to the lab closing was that US UL was close to being done. The Canada UL needed a few minor corrective measures, and the CE was about 75% done. Since we have been unable to work with the lab for the last 2 weeks, we are hoping to get back to the schedule early next week and finish the outstanding requirements. We are still being told will take 4 to 5 weeks for the final certification and report once all certifications pass. That puts us into mid-April or sooner if we can. Okay? You following along? Parts and production.
I mean, I just see like bullshit, whatever, like incompetency, like excuse, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So parts and production. As an update, we have the lock bar, not the pin bar as reported. And so I don't understand what that means. And lighted side panel vendors remedied. So do they have a lock bar vendor remedied and a lighted side panel vendor remedied, but not a pin bar vendor? Or are they not using a pin bar and they're using a standard lock bar now? That sentence is not clear.
Does it matter, Kev? Because this thing's never going to see the fucking light of day.
Well, that's true. Keeps hanging out with us, I guess. Huh?
I like having a laugh track, though.
I like it.
Not just Kevin, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. The last engineering task to improve the stability of the kickstand is going to be complete next week, which will be the last assembly parts to be sourced. Parts orders continue to come in and small parts and subassemblies will start as last posted, whatever that. This is very, very difficult to read. We received some criticism in reply to the last update about putting an expectation of mid-March for first shipments. You'll like this one. It was meant as an internal goal and external expectation, not a promise of delivery. Nick Lane, does that make sense at all?
Nothing. This is all like, I'm to be honest, I'm sort of not listening to everything because it's just a slew of nonsense every month, and it's just like, the outcome of the movie, right? Like before the movie even begins, and we knew this 3 years ago. I'm trying to think, Kevin, when here's something for an enterprising.
There you go. That's the word.
Enterprising viewer, listener. I know there's some people that maybe they have the personality for this, but listen, if you want to go through and find when we first started talking about Deeproot, I think it was around the time that they were a sponsor of the Texas Pinball Festival, and we were like, how does that make sense, right? Like they're throwing money at marketing something they're not even really up and running as a company. But anyways, I'd love to see a montage of all of our comments on Deeproot with a timestamp where we warned about this, and I'd love to release it when they finally throw in the towel. So that's my dream, right? To see a nice montage of all the last few years where Kevin and I are just predicting this nonsense and saying what bullshit this is. And it's sort of like fascinating, right? Like I sort of like doing an autopsy. Like this is like what documentaries are made of, right? Like if there was like a pinball documentary, it'd be a documentary on Deeproot and just how difficult it is to make pinball machines, and like the audacity of this guy to say it's easy and think that he can just come in with like little knowledge and make this all happen. I remember, Kevin, and I'm glad we're not like putting this on the podcast and reading this per se, but you had sent me I guess a public review of an employee who worked at Deeproot and talking about how this is just somebody around the internet, so take it for what it will, but it's not it doesn't paint a good picture, and it's not hard to believe where people aren't getting paid, the owners and absentee, like whatever. That's just out there. We're not going to get any more into it, but it makes sense, right? It's just this is just a dumpster fire. We're just waiting for the day where they're done, because we saw this coming, man. This is we try to warn people, and we talk about these things because the company's going to try to sell a product or ask for money at some point, and it's just like we've seen this before. There's warning signs, there's warning flags. Use caution. Maybe don't throw your money at it, and try to help people, right? That's all we've been ever trying to do, and we're just breaking down the bullshit, and we're just seeing this implode in real time.
Yeah, it's we've seen this movie before. We know the ending, like you said. It's the same old song and dance. Buy the pinball machine once it's manufactured, preferably once you've had a chance to play it and you decide you like it, and you can just exchange money for products. I'm not shocked, but I am shocked that they were able to sell like 100 of these things in the couple weeks that they had the orders open. It makes sense in that there's always people who want to have something exclusive and limited, and it's from J-pop for whatever reason people idolize this guy from the like 3 games he made in the 90s. And then he came back, and Zidware was a big dumpster fire. And now we're seeing a lot of the same things happen here with Deeproot. It's if you got the money, I guess it's not as big a deal. But like throwing that amount of money at something that you hope might happen because you want it to happen, I can't. I can't. All right.
Yeah, it's ignoring the reality of the situation, and like this wishful thinking. Like you want it to happen so much that you're ignoring all the warnings along the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to hammer like just be careful. That's not to say, look, it's not like we were against this company. We just saw things that were like, wait a minute, this doesn't add up. What this person's saying doesn't make sense. Pointing it out along the way, and just be careful, right? And listen, I would have loved that they came out years ago and launched titles when they said they would, and that these titles were awesome, and that they created games that we would want to own. That's great. Who doesn't want more games? And they, brought people as employees into that. They had Dennis Norman at one point. They've got Bowden,
Barry Osler.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like great. Like you want to see games, and you want to see titles that they made. You want to see the innovation, but there's problems.
Yeah.
Easy to see.
It's
They're going to
rough.
blame all the press and everything. It's everybody. This is the classic everybody else's fault that we failed and didn't work and never got a fair shake and blah, blah, blah. And it's going to be a million excuses because I've seen these type of personalities before. And it's sort of boring at this point because it's just so easily predictable, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, and the solution isn't hard, right? Like build a product and then sell it. Especially for your first game.
Product. Don't say you're going to build like a million. First of all, here's the steps. You're going to start a new pinball company. Don't come out and start trashing all the other companies that are actually making games. You got to come out and say, listen, here's a pro tip because there's probably other people thinking that they're going to make a game. We recognize that pinball is difficult. Okay, so our plan is to do a limited run of a machine. We're going to get one solid game out the door and focus on that and keep on building up our infrastructure and more after that. Like, again, Spooky's model showed people how to do it in a way. Then American Pinball came in and they're able to make these high quality games and get them out there. So look, they're able to do it. They just shut up. They make the game and they let the game speak for themselves.
Right.
Not Deeproot though.
Right.
All talk and no show.
Right. All right. We'll just wrap this up.
Getting tired of talking about
no.
that, Kevin. In some ways, it's like how can you not? But
I know.
If
there was more going on this month, I would have skipped it. But it was also they said they're going to ship mid-March. We said no way is that going to happen, and then here's them the following month saying it didn't happen.
It's not going to ship. It's not good. When are they saying it's going to ship now?
It was going to be like 4 to 5 weeks just for the certification, and they still haven't gotten all their parts sourced. They're still working out all that.
When do you think the game is going to ship?
I think it's going to end up being like Magic Girl, where they like cobble together a couple of them and get them out, and then that's going to be it. They're
going to be done. I'm going to predict they're going to be closed by the end of the year.
Yeah,
there's no way there's no way that they can. They're done.
So it was the promise of internal goal and external expectation, not a promise of delivery. Okay. We are sorry for not better communicating that. Since the certifications and receiving all parts are critical to the start of shipments, we will not put out another expectation here, other than to say we want to ship as quickly as we can, provide a quality, well-QA'd Raza machine in a box. We thank you again for your patience. We plan to update customers by the end of March. If you have any questions, please contact us by visiting the website or emailing them. So yeah, they got a couple more days in March for their next update. I don't think they've put out another one yet. So that is your Raza update. I feel like we need like a stinger sound effect. Raza update. Deeproot update. There you go.
All right.
Let's moving on to everybody's second favorite pinball manufacturer. Homepin. You may remember them from such critically acclaimed pinball machines as Thunderbirds and the other one they were working on, Chinese Zombies. I don't think that one ever came out. But this is coming to us from Pinball Magazine. They say, while there hasn't been much news to report on Homepin since they moved to Taiwan almost 1 year ago, Mike and his team basically had to start up all over again. While doing that, Porsche, who is very big in China, ordered 4 of these pinball games that will be taken to various car shows in China to promote the new Porsche Taycan model. The games basically function as a marketing tool to harvest email addresses via a WeChat logon, which sounds very China to me. There are no plans for a commercial production of the game. So you're going to make 4 of these. Nick Lane, what does that layout remind you of?
Firepower, right?
Yes, it's Firepower.
Yep.
So they took Firepower and they slapped some blue and black art on it. And it says Taycan on the drop targets. And there's some checkered flag-ish kind of stuff around the apron area. And there's your pinball machine, I guess.
This is the news for the month, folks.
There you go. This was interesting. It uses rollover micro switches. Or it doesn't have rollover micro switches. It has optos.
Okay.
So hopefully they have inserts. Or like if that gets dirty, like what the hell's it going to do? You know how finicky optos can be.
Yeah, true.
But I suppose if they're only using...
Pinball machines don't get dirty, though. So
that's true.
I don't see a problem.
This picture they sent isn't dirty at all.
No.
But if they're only making 4 of them, and I don't know, if they're just going to like keep on top of that at shows or whatever. People buying a Porsche don't care about a pinball machine if it's working right anyways. They just want to be able to flip the flippers.
which is fine, right? Like it's just a marketing piece, which is whatever. That's fine.
Yeah. Spinners, blah, blah, blah. Not shown. Backbox not shown contains a blue dot matrix display as well as a 27-inch LCD. The DMD is mainly for scores, names, and simple animations, while the LCD is used to display commercials and advertising.
Hey, listen, Homepin made a game. So
it exists.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
That's Porsche. It's a novelty. That'll be one of those things where down the line somebody will own one and it'll be like 10,000. You think that'll be a game that'll be like $10,000 machine someday in somebody's collection?
I mean, is Domino's a $10,000 game yet in anybody's collection?
They sold like 150 of those though.
Yeah. You were gonna buy one at one point. You were thinking about it.
I was. Domino's. It's got us in it. It's got our voices in it.
Listen, you can hear my voice anytime you want.
It's
all right?
true.
Like,
can you just say yummy cheese for me every once in a while?
Only when I get paid.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So that's Porsche. Oh man. Whew. I don't want to spoil Goren's. We do have a full episode of Topper Talk coming up at the end of the episode, but I wanted to. I felt like we needed to talk a little bit about the Stranger Things Topper. So there it is. Nick, have you seen the Stranger Things Topper before this moment right now?
Yes, because I watched Goren's video.
Okay.
I got a preview of it.
So if you haven't seen it, it's a infinity mirror style backlash. So think of not Alien.
Yeah, I know you. Space Invaders.
Space Invaders has it, and Vector had it as well. I think
okay.
Oh no, that just have chase lights. I don't think it had infinity lights, but it's got that effect where it looks like the lights are going on forever, and it looks cool. It's a cool fit for the game. It doesn't have a giant logo on it. It does say Stranger Things on it, but it's small, so it's not one of those where it has the name right above the name and looks ridiculous. I'll give it that. But it's $650 for some plastics, some LEDs, and a mirror. So
it's interesting though that they've been charging $1,000 for toppers, so this one scaled back. I wonder why. It doesn't seem that much lesser than. I mean, you can make an argument. It doesn't seem like $350 lesser than the other ones, right?
Right. Yeah. The only thing I can think on something like. I don't remember how much the Avengers one was, but I think the Turtles one was about $1,000.
Yeah,
and that's got like a motorized thing on it. So that's the only thing I can see that.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's got a motorized part that's probably like 50 cents.
Right,
to spin shit around.
So,
I know what you mean though.
That's how they justify the difference in cost, probably.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's cool
Stay
enough,
tuned.
but as like a $150 add-on, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned for the full hot takes on the Stranger Things topper at the end of the show. But there you go. And ladies and gentlemen, that is your pinball news for the month of March 2021.
Ooh, really exciting.
things are really happening.
You might have to listen to this podcast twice.
That's right. In case you missed it all.
Yeah.
You can't take it all in. Yeah. All right. I got a Buffalo update. We're bringing back 12 games in 12 hours. So if you've been with us for a long time, we've done 2 of these. It was one of the first things we did when we started.
The fundraiser got us off the ground.
Yeah. So that helped
having a rig.
Yeah. Help buy the stuff that we need to stream. And then we did a charity version of it for St. Jude Play Live a year or 2 after that. But it's been like 4 years since we did this. And we thought, for fun, let's bring it back. We'll do 12 games in 12 hours again, starting at noon Eastern on April 10th on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Buffalo Pinball. I'll give you the rundown of the games, right? We're going to be playing Deadpool, Tron, Addams Family, Willy Wonka, Heist, Pirates of the Caribbean, Metallica, Black Knight, Sword of Rage, Guns N' Roses, the new Guns N' Roses, Wizard of Oz, Dialed In, and the one you're all waiting for, Future Spa. With Rudy Soup. That's going to be the highlight of the stream. So tune in, join us, hang out. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have some giveaways and things like that. So hopefully you can tune in and catch a little bit of that or all of it. And we look forward to hanging out with you. Doing the marathons is one of my favorite things. It's just super fun, and I like seeing everybody switch. So basically, we play one game for an hour, then it changes to somebody else. I'm going to be organizing it in a way this year so we don't have to drop the stream every hour, which will be cool. So you can just leave it on and not have to worry about refreshing your stream or anything like that. So good way to spend your time during the pandemic, and you just want to have some pinball on to as background noise for a Sunday or Saturday. Saturday.
Yeah.
Then you can join us then.
Yeah. Well, shout out to and kudos. Kudos to Kevin for always thinking of better ways to do this and always kind of keeping current with the technology to make the viewing experience better for people. So that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it, man. It is a fun time to have 12 hours of pinball and feel that kind of camaraderie of streaming with everybody else in Buffalo Pinball. So yeah, Martha and I will be doing 2 streams.
Nice.
That's 12 hours. Look forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be the whole Buffalo stream team, aside from all the local bros. But so it's going to be me and Nick and Martha and Skip Natty and Rudy and Tuna. So we're all going to be mixing it up. So every hour you're going to see somebody else in a different pinball machine every hour. So.
Looking, well, I'm sorry. I read the chat. Wildcat says in chat that Deeproot's going to blame the delay on that ship that's stuck in the Suez Canal. He's calling it. We're calling it now. He's calling it now. All the Deeproot parts are on that ship. Yeah.
I'm sure. It's going to be something. That's what makes it entertaining.
Yeah,
sorry.
It is. Yeah.
All right. So following last month's show, I had a couple folks in the Buffalo Pinball Discord ask if I could do a deep dive into the P3 now that I've owned it almost a year. And I've been thinking about doing a YouTube video on this because I feel like you need to show what's going on in the P3 because there's so much that's different about it from a traditional pinball machine. So I do want to do that, but I'm being lazy and I haven't done it yet. Instead, I asked if they had any specific questions they wanted to ask about the P3. And if so, I would answer them. So I got a couple. The first are from Sergeant Ski, 1978. He asked, after owning it for a year, and also feel free if you have questions, throw them in the chat as well, and we can pull them out from there. But so after owning it for a year, how do you feel this would do the P3 if Multimorphic and went to a distro model? Is the cost to do it worth it for sales? Asking because it's always been hard to find them in the wild, and I think the risk to dropping whatever amount of money on one is significant if it turns out to be not your thing and you want to sell it. So Multimorphic does have a couple distributors in the US. They also have RS Pinball in Europe who handles sales for them. And I've seen them at shows. So that's I think their main way of kind of letting people get hands on the machines is getting them out to shows. And without the shows over the past year, that's kind of lagged a little bit. But so they do have a distributor model. I can't speak to whether or not that makes sense from if it's worth the cost. I don't know what the costs are to having a distributor host your machines and sell them for you, all that stuff. I don't know the ins and outs of the pinball industry. But I think, the more they can get them in front of folks and hands-on the games, the better off they'll be. They, like at the Pinbrew event, they're going to have a couple games there. So if you want to get out and try it out there, I've in the P3 Discord, folks have talked about taking their fan-owned games or, player-owned games to machines, to events. And letting people get their hands on them. Because I think what happens is when you buy it, you realize how cool it is. You want to share that with other people who may be hesitant to try it out because it's something different. And people in pinball tend to have a certain thing they want in pinball. And we've seen over the years it's hard to introduce new ideas to this audience. So I think, the best thing for the platform is for folks to get their hands on it and try it out. Especially, I think Heist is great, and the more people that play Heist are really gonna jump on board with it. So the second question he had, I have something special planned for this. So let me go lights on for this. We're gonna take it over to because the P3 is right behind me. Sergeant Ski 1978 says, "What is the wear and tear like on the playfield screen? Is this something that can be replaced?" And this is a question I get quite often when I stream it. And I feel like I've answered it a lot. So I want to switch over to this. I'm going to take you over to the P3. Come with me to the P3, okay?
Really exciting.
Let me unplug Nick so I can hear you. Okay, here we go. We're going to show you how this works. So let me grab my mic stand and put you in over here. My thing almost fits here. So we're gonna do this together, okay? We're gonna open up the game. Slide off the glass. And then at the front of the game, you just lift it up. Set it down right there, right? Okay. So the game, the playfield's up, and there's a little bar that the playfield rests on. Watch this. So there's 2 tabs. You pull that down, bam, you got access to the front of the game. And then out the front, if you're listening, I apologize that you can't see this, but this is what the ball rolls on. It's a giant piece of plastic. It does not roll on the screen. So there's no interaction between the ball and the screen. It is not a touch screen. There is an infrared grid that floats above the playfield that tracks where the ball is. So there is no wear and tear on the screen because the ball doesn't touch the screen. It touches this, which you can pull out and clean. Or if, you drop your razor blade on it and it gets a scratch, you can just get a new piece of polycarbonate and slide it in there. And you got a brand new playfield. No chipping, no pooling, no scratches. It rolls on this, okay? You can also, from that front, you can slide the playfield screen out if you need to. For whatever reason, I don't see you needing to do that. You can also slide the whole flipper back assembly out. So if you want to change your flipper rubbers or you need to work on something, you just slide that out, take it to your workbench, and that's how you work on it. So there you go. All right, coming back. Nick, how was that? Did it make sense?
That's good. Yeah. Very straightforward. Good job.
Oh, you're a little quiet there. What'd you say?
I said very straightforward. You did a good job.
That's all right. And look how quick that was. All right, plug my headphones back in now. What protects the plastic? You just goodwill and hopes and dreams. Okay, let's go back to Nick. All right, so that is the deal with that. So does this current scoop configuration so he's talking about the walls and the scoops that are like right behind the screen and before the physical shots on the playfield. Does that pose limitations to future design, or is it something that can also be swapped down the road if P3 develops it? So I don't think it's modular. I don't think you can lift that out. That's an integrated part of the machine, and you also kind of need it for mini games like rocks and things like that. So the mini games that only take place on the lower part of the playfield, you need those there for that. So I'm guessing that you can just you leave that in there at all times. I don't think you can swap that out. And as I've played it, I've thought about what if they wanted to bring a shot further down the playfield? They could just have it go over one of those scoops, and just in the game never use that scoop, and then you could bring your shots down closer. So I'm wondering if that's a possibility. I don't know. I don't have any inside scoop there. No pun intended, but that's my thoughts on that. All right, did I miss any questions in chat? Okay, here's one.
That's when I'm getting a P3. I don't have a current plan yet, but I haven't played Heist, so that might be a game changer for me.
Yeah,
I love I love the innovation. I love that P3's pushing technology and looking at pinball differently. I love it. So I'm kind of following closely what's going on, and I want to see the system continue to develop. And again, I've not played Heist. I've seen Heist. It looks awesome. It looks interesting, and I look forward to playing it at Cabins.
Yeah, it's we always talk about what's innovative on new games and what's new and interesting, and there's just so much that's cool in this that they're really pushing it. to the next level. And I'm in. I love it, and I like to share my enthusiasm for the platform with folks. So, hopefully,
I'm just happy to be friends with Kevin, who's got one.
There you go. I have some more P3 stuff to talk about too. Did we skip? Oh no, we didn't do game room updates. We'll talk a little bit more about that. How does the screen affect the physical play towards? This is from Voidstar in chat. How does the screen affect the physical play toward the lower half of the playfield? I understand that some of the games can have toys that extend from the upper, but does that lack of physical toys closer to the flippers change the game positively or negatively at all? So this is another very common, question, concern, point of interest for the P3 platform that there's nothing down low on the playfield, which for the first couple playfields, I would agree. There was no physical interaction aside from the targets on the side, lower down. But with games like Heist, you see the crane that extends down and brings all sorts of physical action to the lower part of the playfield. It's also a little deceptive, and I think watching it on a stream, it's not as impactful, but you're always interacting with things on the screen. So you're shooting for things low on the playfield, even if it's not a physical object. So if there's cash falling down the screen on Heist, I'm taking a shot to hit those targets, those virtual targets lower on the playfield. So there's interactivity all over the game, even if it's not physical. They've also shown on some of their there's a promo video on the Multimorphic YouTube channel where they show some concepts of like pop bumpers and things on the lower part of the playfield. So, or scoops. And I heard Jerry just did a great interview on the Flippin' and Mashing podcast. So check that out. He talks a lot about this. We talk a lot about it on the interview we did with him a couple years ago here on the podcast. So if you want to dig in the archives or go to the YouTube channel, go back and listen to that interview that we did with Jerry too. But in his most recent interview, he talked about a scoop and how you would put a scoop on the lower part of the playfield. You'd need to be engineered different. So you would shoot it and it would like maybe hold it up above the playfield because you can't go through the playfield because there's the screen there, there's the infrared grid. It would hold the ball there and give you that same effect of shooting a scoop or a saucer, just engineered in a different way. Or if you're going to have a pop bumper down on the lower playfield, it would have to connect to the rails on the side and hover over the top and fire that way. So it is possible for them to bring more physical interaction to the lower playfield. And I know they're thinking about that based on that interview that Jerry did, and that they're mindful of that's something that people want. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more of that down the line. What do we got? Can magnets work through the screen? I don't know. I would guess not, because the magnets would screw with the video screen that's under the playfield. But maybe they're magnets on the side or something instead. So
yeah,
again,
if you only knew how magnets work.
if only. Yeah. So you would have to just do it differently. That's what Jerry said in that interview. It's like you can do pretty much anything. You just have to rethink how you do it. So I guess that's my update. Did I miss anything else in chat? Do I regret not waiting for a Raza? No. I think I made the right choice there. Shooter plays. Okay. I think we're good. Okay. So that's our some thoughts on the P3. If you guys got more, send them to talkpinball@gmail.com. We can get into it more next month. I'm gonna think more about how I want to do a video for YouTube about the P3, because I think even just stuff like pulling the playfield out and showing how the flippers come out and things like that, it's very interesting, and it doesn't always come across on a gameplay stream. So being able to highlight some of that from an owner perspective, maintenance perspective, just how it all works kind of perspective, would be interesting, I think. So more to come on that. So here was a question. Attack submitted a non P3 question, but it's trolly, but I think it's good. He says, "Who will deliver more games in 2021? Pinball Adventures, Pinball Brothers, or Deeproot?" Nick, what do you think?
Couldn't even fucking begin to guess. I mean, Deeproot allegedly has the sales, right? They have the most sales of anybody that we're aware of. I don't know how many pinball adventure. Dude, I have no idea. I have no idea.
It's about who's going to deliver games, though. How many machines out the door? Who's going to do the most?
I couldn't even be. Couldn't even be.
I'm going to
see Pinball Adventure selling more than 20 games at best.
Yeah.
Pinball Brothers is making Aliens, right?
Yeah, they've already delivered a couple of those because Coin Taker's got at least one, right. And it's going to be at the the show, the Ohio show.
You know what? I have more faith in Pinball Brothers than I believe that Pinball Adventures can actually manufacture games. The question is, are there buyers for the games? That's their downfall, right? Like, who wants this game that they're making? I don't know. Somebody does, but not many. I'm guessing. Deeproot, I have no confidence that they can put together a working game and deliver it. They're going to cobble something together that's going to probably be a disaster because it's their first game, right? I mean, this is the problem. Like, your first game is always there's going to be issues. There's so many, quote unquote, new things in there. It just means new things to break that aren't really tested. The Pinball Brothers, you got the license of Alien. I think there's people who want that game. I'm going to say Pinball Brothers.
I'm gonna go Pinball Adventures. I think they're most ready to start rolling them out. Whether or not they get the orders, that's the thing. But I think
that's the thing, Kevin.
Yeah, but is Pinball Brothers, are they scaled up for production? I don't know if they are.
I don't know.
It's easy, quote unquote, easy to put together a couple prototypes. Like we saw with Big Lebowski, right? They made a couple that they took out to machines or took out to shows. And got the hype all built up. But when it came down to the nuts and bolts of let's just start cranking these out, that's where these companies run into trouble. I know
Texas sales isn't the question. I know you're talking about delivered, but, I understand. Like, I'm selling a game that is delivered.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it all factors in.
You have to sell a game first before you deliver a game. Otherwise, you're dropping free games around town.
Free games.
This is a bad business model. You heard it here first.
Don't want to do that. It's your business insights with Nick. So Nick says Pinball Brothers. I say Pinball Adventures. Let's see. Well, somebody hold us to this, and we'll revisit it at the end of the year in our 2021 Pinball recap.
Yeah, can't wait.
Count your games. He also brought this one up. Imagine that pinball machines could be parents. Which two games would have the most awesome child?
I feel like I have an answer, but I can't say it without getting in trouble. So
I was going to say like Hard Body and I was trying to think of like the male equivalent of Hard Body. Paragon, maybe. I was just going based on theme, but I think what he was thinking was like, what are two games that you love that would be cool together? Like if you kind of mashed them up.
He wants this. Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
I think Nick is passing on this one attack.
Yeah.
He gave the example of Tron and Whirlwind. So like a smooth, flowy, super rampy kind of game with the feel and the vibe of a Tron. So if you put those two together, Tron plus Whitewater, yeah.
All right. Very nice.
All right. Nick's got nothing.
Nothing.
All right.
Next.
Yes. Moving on. Game room updates. So I got my Lexi talking more about P3 because this was
Kevin's
really,
a P3 shill.
I'm shilling. And allegedly I'm on the payroll, but I'm really not. But Jerry said I was, so I'm expecting my paycheck anytime now. So I received it, and yes, I bought it. I paid for it, shipped it out to my house, and I received it, 2 weeks later? Did we talk about this? Because I had ordered it last time, but did we talk about me receiving it last time?
I don't know.
I don't think I had gotten it last. So what was cool is, so it was weird because I was expecting it to deliver on like a Wednesday, and it came at like 8:30 at night through UPS. So what happens is they put basically the only thing you have to swap to get a new P3 game is the back part of the playfield. So it ships in a like 24 cubic inch squared box approximately. And so I got the notification that it got delivered. So I went out thinking it was going to be like up against the garage. And it was just like sitting there on my front step. And I thought how different an experience that was to the typical new pinball machine purchase where you have to like rent a truck and haul it upstairs, or it gets delivered on a lift truck, a truck with a lift gate, and you gotta get a dolly and wheel it in. I just carried it in, plopped it down, and then 10-15 minutes later I'm up and running with a new pinball machine. So just the whole experience of buying a new pinball machine with a P3 is just so different and cool that kind of struck me when I got it. So I got that, installed it, streamed it the next week, and I got real close to the wizard mode on that stream. So I highlighted the video and showed everybody kind of like the ins and outs of that game. I was like a couple multi-ball jackpots away from getting to the wizard mode. So if you want to see more about the game Lexi Lightspeed Escape from Earth for the P3, you can check out that video. It's on our YouTube channel. It's also highlighted on Twitch. So check that out. Big fan of Lexi. The other thing I did P3 related was I built a caddy for my P3 playfield. So I got some pictures here. Right here. So Nick Baldridge had put together some plans for this. It's a holder for 2 of the playfield modules that slides under your pinball machine. So this is what it looks like without any games in it. And there it is with 2 games in it. It will fit 2 playfields, and then it just slides right under your pinball machine, so you can store them nice. And you may say, Nick may say, but aren't they going to get all dusty because there's nothing covering them up? Yes.
Yeah, a little dress for him.
I got a cover. Cover's in progress. It hasn't gotten here yet, but it should be here. I hope next week. So once it's here, I'm gonna go ahead and show some pictures of that. So
that's great. I mean, see if Jerry's gonna offer that. I mean, that seems like a good product to sell to customers, like, right? Like who are me and can't build anything, or you don't want to see me trying to build something.
Yeah, and he has mentioned in like the Multimorphic owners thread that they know this is something that people want. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they offer an official solution. But this is a good pandemic project, and $20-$30 worth of labor and some spray paint. I put my junior high shop class skills to work and got the table saw out and did some cutting and hammering. So it was kind of fun. And it looks nicer. It's easier to get at than the cardboard boxes they ship in actually fit under the machine. So you can fit 2 playfields under the machine in the boxes they ship in. But they're a little awkward to kind of pull the games in and out of, and you have to fight the flaps and stuff like this. So this is easier. This makes it a little easier. So there you go. That's my game room update. How about you?
All right. Nothing.
All right. Next, moving on. But you've been streaming Black Knight, right?
I have, yeah. I've been streaming Black Knight and having fun with that game. So I couldn't stream yesterday. Like, I try to stream on Fridays. That's my time slot. But somehow, I still have the possibility of work meetings getting booked on noon on Friday. Seems weird, but it's been happening. So I'm gonna stream some Black Knight hopefully on this coming Friday, and I'm gonna stream it during the 12 hours of pinball as well. So
nice. More Black Knight coming your way. You're gonna do Deadpool and Black Knight, right?
Yeah, Black Knight Sort of Rage.
Yeah, you're the Stern shill for the stream.
I am. I am.
I'm doing a Multimorphic and a Jersey Jack, so I'm shilling the 2 shills that I shill.
I mean, it's funny if anybody ever called me a Stern hater when I stream so much Stern, and I have more Stern games than anybody else. So I'm not.
No. All right, so I think that brings us to review time. Where's my review intro? Where is it? I forget where it is. We never do it. All right. We'll be back right after this with a review of Fishtails.
Let's go!
I am okay. Whose life is a bore? The least I've gotten lately before. Are you ready for your eye exam?
All right, it's time to talk about Fishtails. Fishtails is a game manufactured by Williams in 1992 with a design by Mark Ritchie, Pat McMahon, and Python Angelo. Art also by Pat McMahon. Software by Mark Panaccio. We talked about him earlier. He's a new hire at Stern. Sound by Chris Granner, so you know it's awesome. And pricing, according to Pinside, right now as of March 2021, is in the $3,300 to $3,800 range. So Nick Lane, it's Fishtails. What do you think?
Yeah. Fishtails. So,
what was your first experience with Fishtails? Do you remember?
Oh God, I wish I could tell you my first experience with Fishtails, and it's, to be perfectly honest in this review, it's been a couple of years since I've played the game, but I've certainly played enough Fishtails in my pinball career. And Fishtails I always think of as being in this category of games where there were, I think there's a lot of them produced. And when I got into the hobby, this was like a $1,200 game.
I know, it's crazy.
Right. And it falls into the category of like a lot of people's first game that they got, or one of the first games that they got. Right. Like, when you get into the hobby, you might not be running out and buying a new in-box game. You're dipping your toes in and getting your first DMD, and Fishtails is on the list along with things like Judge Dredd and Demo Man and Bram Stoker's Dracula. Right. So, it's let's just go down the categories, right? It's kind of my overall impression of it, but the art is fantastic. You had the back glass
let me put it back
on the screen a moment ago, and it's just like that is it's vibrant, it's fun, it's the kind of thing where you can just look at for a while, and there's kind of these small details that you can pick out, and there's just a lot of like love and care went into these games to be attractive, and it's an original theme. You hear people talking these days about wanting original theme. Do you think if they came out of a game Fishtails today, do you think people would shit on it?
Oh, people would lose their minds. They'd be like, what is this shit? Nobody wants this. A fishing game?
Fishtails.
Oh my God. Where is my whatever action movie theme? No way this would fly right now. But because it came out in the 90s and people have nostalgia for it now, oh man, Fishtails. What a great theme. Nobody does games like this anymore. Meanwhile,
Exactly.
Dialed In, Heist, TNA, Black Knight. No, look at the sales of those versus the licensed games.
Exactly. Good point. I can never bring that up enough because I always hear people saying that.
It pisses me off.
They have
It's
no
so
idea.
pissed.
Yeah. It's just so... and we're just going to hear this for several more decades to come. So anyways, we'll get it out when we can. But yeah, I mean, the art is absolutely fantastic. This is such a, there's games that just communicate fun through the visual nature, and Fishtails is like a 10 out of 10 in that communication.
Yeah, I love the art. I've got a picture of the cabinet up on screen now, and one of the unfortunate things about this game is that the art on the side of the cabinet tends to fade a lot. This was I was able to find a nice full color version of it, but a lot of times you'll find it. I think of this game, there's one that was, I don't know if it's still there, but it was in a pizzeria nearby, and it was just faded to yellow. It was like yellow and white. And it's such a shame because the art is so good on it. And I think you can buy replacement decals, but it's not an easy thing to do, swapping decals. But it's so I looked it up, 13,640 of these made. So they made a ton of these. And for me, I remember two things. At that pizzeria, I remember playing it, and I also remember playing it at Jamie's house. When we first started going to his house, he had one, and I was like, this is cool. Like, crank on those ramps, and it's just such a fun game.
Shit. I remember, I think the first time I ever played it was, it might have been 2011. I probably played it at maybe Pinburg or something, but also I remember Matt Hess down in Binghamton had, my folks are in Binghamton, and I was looking for pinball to play in the area, and I was like scrambling around, and I think somebody posted there was a Fishtails at a bar, and I went down there and played the hell out of it. Yeah, that was it. So it must have been like summer or fall of 2011 that I actually have a memory of traveling to a place just to play Fishtails because that was the game available.
Yep, it's pretty typical of the time, I think, because there weren't these big arcades and barcades and retrocades and beercades and all that stuff like there have been over the past few years. It was like, all right, what's out there? Let me track it down. Who knows somebody with a pinball machine? Maybe they'll let me come over and play their brand new ACDC.
Ball Search knows one. Ball Search, are you from New York, that area? Yeah, that was there's a bar in Deposit, I think. Yeah. Sorry, Kev.
There you go. Nice. Bringing it home with the chat.
That's the one I'm talking about, I believe. Yep.
All right, let's take a look at the art a little bit more. We'll talk about the playfield art. Very cool. I mean, you get wear on the inserts or on the fish a lot. So if you're looking at this game, let's see if I know it's not in that close up. But if you look at the fish, the 4 main fish in the middle of the playfield, you'll see insert wear around those a lot. But otherwise,
it was clear coded though, that game, right?
Yeah, but I think there's around inserts. You saw it on stuff like Roadshow and stuff too, around the Kickout. It's just like the real high wear areas of the game tend to get worn out, even if it is a diamond plate game. I like the this playfield shot we're showing right now doesn't have the flippers on it, but I like when the flippers are on it and they go up, it looks like the fish's mouth opening and closing. That's a very Python Angelo kind of thing.
Yeah. Speaking of flippers, they're lightning flippers.
Yes, lightning flipper game.
Flippers are, if you don't know if lightning flippers are, if there's newer people, those are shorter than standard size flippers.
Yep. 1/8 of an inch on each side, so it doesn't seem like much, but when you're playing it definitely does. But yeah, lots of blues, lots of greens, definitely a great art package for the theme, and it's just fun. Like Nick said, it's a fun looking game and really draws you in. So what's next on our rundown here? Sound. I can hear the sound effects from this game as we talk about.
Great sound. Great music. I get the music in my head. Yeah.
It's got the kind of like hillbilly banjo plucking kind of music, right?
Fantastic. Yeah.
And the call outs are really good. Like, how big was it? really top notch sound. It's Chris Granner, right? Yeah. So no surprise there that the sound would be amazing because he's got a great history of games. And welcome to our friend Skip Natty, and thanks for the raid. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the sound?
Fantastic. I mean, especially you got to put it in context of the time. Catchy music, the call outs, really well done. Really well done. 10 out of 10 for the time.
Yeah, agreed. It doesn't get much better than the sound effects and music on Fishtails. All right, toys. Let's take a look at the playfield again, and we'll talk about toys. So the cabinet itself, it's got an interesting shooter knob on it, which is like one of those like auto cast fishing rods. So that kind of draws you in right from the start, and then like physical interactivity wise, I guess the main thing is the fishing reel lock for the multi-ball. So you shoot the spinner shot, or there's no spinner there. It's just a saucer. Shooting on the far right, there's a orbit, and then just to the left of that, there's a shot you shoot to load the lock, and it whips it around on a wire form over to the fishing reel lock on the left, and that's a really cool effect in that it's well choreographed with the display and the sound. Like they do a great job highlighting that. Other than that, the boat ramps in the middle isn't, usually call ramps toys, but it's a well integrated layout.
Let me ask you this: do you know if the topper was standard when this game was released?
It was. They did not charge extra for this.
It just came with it.
Look at that glorious topper. We should.
That's a non-interactive toy, but I would say it's a topper, but by some people's definitions, it might be a toy or call it a non-interactive toy.
And one of the best toppers of all time, I'm going to say, because this was when Billy the Bass or whatever the hell it was, or you get animated fish on a board that you push the button and it would start singing and dancing.
I heard the story was they basically stole the idea of Billy the Bass from this topper or something. There's some kind of relation to that Billy the Bass thing.
I always assumed they stole the Billy the Bass idea and put it on the top of this game because it was such a thing. I don't know which order that played out in, but it was definitely a thing in '92 when this game came out. That
all the infomercials for it. You remember that shit?
Yeah, it's so stupid. And it reminds me when we streamed this game on the Bro Show, we went to Neil's house and he had the game in his basement, but his basement is not tall enough to have the topper on it. So instead he like put the topper on a shelf on a different wall and wired it to the game. So you play it and it would flop on the wall to your side. It was so crazy. I always think of that when I think of this game now. But yeah, great topper. Can't go on without talking about that topper. Good point. Thanks for bringing that up. But that's about it toys wise, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Display and lighting. So I think it's got a DMD. It's an early 90s game. But I think they do a good job with the display on this. It doesn't really stand out. The only thing I think of the display when I think of the display on this game is the video mode. It's got a very cool video mode. it's one of the more fun dot matrix video modes. You're trying to shoot down the people passing by on boats and jet skis and stuff like that. So very cool animations and display there. The lighting doesn't stand out to me at all. Does it to you?
No, I guess what game of the era really stood out in terms of lighting, right? Like I can't think of anything. Lighting has come such a long way today than what it was. It's like that's kind of the new focal point in terms of what you can do in terms of pinball presentation, right? I feel like in the 90s it was like toys and gimmicks were a lot of thought, and that's what distinguished a pinball machine. Now, to be honest, I mean a cheaper way is just elaborate lighting and programming lighting effects. So you just don't really find it in those older games. I mean, maybe there's a good example that I'm just not thinking of, but yeah, there's nothing in my mind notable about it.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is like the Addams Family multi-ball start with the Showtime thing.
Yeah.
Because that like integrates the topper and the flashes on the topper and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you just couldn't do as much with lighting back then. And I guess it's not fair to compare a 92 game to a 2021 game, but it's definitely one of the things you notice when you're looking back at these older games that there was only so much you could do with the incandescent bulbs and the insert lighting and things like that. And now we're spoiled with hot rails and expression lighting and whatever other kind of crazy stuff you want to throw in your pinball machine. So the full color RGB LEDs have really taken it to a next level. Gameplay. I guess that's really where this game shines, right? It's a fast flowing game. The boat ramp in the middle, you can just combo that all day, and then if you lose, you're dead. It's got the captive ball in the middle to entice you to shoot that and take that risk. The orbits are fast and fun. The lock shot is cool. I just think fast and brutal when I think of the gameplay on this game.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, this is kind of my style of gameplay, right? It's just a really tough game. It's not a deep game, so when you don't have a game that's deep, you go towards a spectrum of fast and brutal. I love the casting shot that loops all the way around to the left flipper, and you can hit it on the fly into the lock. Like, incredibly satisfying. It's the same concept that Deadpool does, right? When the super skill shot of hitting into lock. I just love that. It's such a good feeling on Fishtails, and I always, when I talk about Deadpool, I just say how much I love that shot, and I'm glad that George Gomez did it on Deadpool. So very cool. It's great to kind of get into the flow of doing the boat. So there's a couple strategies, I think, in the game, which makes it interesting in tournaments, and kind of like your decision making in it. If you want to go for the multi-ball or you want to do like the boat loops. I think this game shines as kind of a competitive game because there's two viable approaches to it. At least, in my world, I could be wrong, but I remember always stepping up to the game in like competition at Pinburg and be like, okay, am I going to go for locks here? Or I'm going to, see if I'm feeling a little more flowy, and I'm just going to do like the boat loops over and over again and collecting a monster fish and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that takes us into rules. Yeah, it's like you said, it's not a super deep game. Is there even a wizard mode in this game? I think it's just it's more of like a Doctor Who era game where there's different scoring strategies, and you're just trying to, blow it up and maximize from a few different available scoring strategies.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say Doctor Who. I mean, Doctor Who has a lot more going for it in terms of the doctors and stuff and decision making. But yeah, I mean, it's just in that era, not really getting into wizard mode so much. So it's pretty basic, But I don't think it has any broken rules on it. Like, I think it's a legit tournament game in terms of that. So could be wrong. But yeah, it's pretty basic at that time.
Yeah, it's not like a Getaway 2 where there's broken stuff and bugs that really make it a bad tournament game or anything like that.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing an overly unbalanced part of it. Like, I think of Johnny Mnemonic and the Spinner Millions, right? There's not like that one thing that just like totally destroys the scores. I think going for Monster Fish is a pretty typical tournament strategy, but then everybody's pretty much on the same page if you're going for that. Daniel says bonus occasionally doesn't collect, so there's a thing.
It just has it's just very satisfying. Pull things off in the game. It's very satisfying to lock the ball. It's very satisfying to collect the monster fish. It's very satisfying to hit the U-turn kind of loops on the boat. Like that's what I think of when I think of this game and the design of the game. And I don't know. It's when you got it going on, when you're in that rhythm and groove and you're hitting your shots, it's incredibly satisfying because it's a dangerous game. So it gives you a good feeling to it. I actually love how it shoots and plays. I think it's one of my favorite games to play kind of competitively, but it's also very scary. Like with the lightning fittlers, like there's so many things that can go wrong, and it's a little anxiety producing, but it's great. I think it produces an exciting match to watch people play Fishtails on.
Yeah, I can agree with that. So what are your thoughts on lastability? Would this be a long-term? It's not a game that either of us have owned, right? So.
Oh, no. Man, God, this is like, I have such like a positive attitude towards Fishtails, right? Like we just said nothing kind of but positive things about it. And then I look at like the price on it. You know, this is 3 times as much as it was when I got into the hobby. Now look, things go up. There's more people in the hobby. There's more people buying things. You've got inflation, etc. But there's other games that have not gone up 3 times in price that I think are better. So at the price that you have listed, Kevin, of $3,300 to $3,800, it's like, oh man, and also like the fallback is like, oh, it's great in a large collection. It's a weird thing to say because I guess you can stuff any game in a large collection and have it there. And this used to be like a game that you'd recommend to somebody just getting in hobby. Grab a Fishtails, $1,200. Even when it moved up to like $1,800. Grab a Fishtails, right? It was an easy recommendation. They're plentiful, a good game to cut your teeth on. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
it's not. It doesn't have the depth of single ball play. It's getting more expensive. I think there's better games to spend your money on that you're going to get better lastability out of for that price range. So I don't know. I struggle with that.
Yeah, I would. I look at something like Johnny Mnemonic that really hasn't gone up that much in price. I think it still hovers around that $3,000 price.
Yeah,
and there's just so much more to do in it, rules wise.
Agreed.
And it's another fast game. It's just for whatever reason this game. I think this is the occasion where original theme is better. It causes that price to go up versus a licensed theme. People don't think fondly of Johnny Mnemonic the movie, so it's got that kind of negative air about it. I think now we kind of look back and laugh on it, but it's one of those bad '90s movie games. So I think that keeps the price down on it.
I would take a Johnny Mnemonic over this when you talk about, because you got to factor price into it, right? This is the $1 million question or the $3,800 question. I would take Johnny Mnemonic over this, and I would take a World Cup Soccer over this, right? I think those games kind of fall into those price brackets.
Yeah, or Demo Man, right?
Yeah, this game is just it's too, in my humble opinion, it's too much. If that's the current market price for it, it's just too much, and it doesn't. I don't think it fares well in the current price range that's asking for compared to other games that you can get for maybe a little bit more or even in that price range.
Yeah. So you're somebody who has classic games, but gameplay wise, like I think this falls in line with like the playability of a classic game. So if that's your style and that's, if this is a game that you love and I think that's your gameplay style, then go for it. But like Nick said, there's going to be other games that offer more either in that price range or less.
Yeah, and it's tough, man, because as we're doing this review, I'm like, I really like Fishtails, man. It's like I kind of like to have them, but it's hard. It'd be hard for me to pull the trigger on that compared to some other games. Especially, it's not just on price; it's space too, right? Like there's money and there's also space in a collection.
Yep.
So maybe one day, depending on where things are in my life, I'd love to have one for a while and play the hell out of it. Maybe it has a permanent place in the collection because I think it is. It's a good game to showcase. I have a lot of respect for it. I think it's provides a lot of fun to just go up to it. Like you said, Kevin, it's like a classic. Like you go and play a few games on it, and you don't ask too much of it, right? Like its limitations, and you just have some good fun with it. So,
all right. Well, I guess it's time to put some numbers to this review. We'll take you over here and show you. Where's my thing? interact. There we go. Okay, scrolling down to show you our beloved review score key. 0 to 2 is a burn it. 3 to 5 is an expensive nightlight. 6 to 8 is a solid game. 9 to 10 gets your wallets out. Why don't I go first? And I will say this is a 6. I'm gonna put it at a 6. It's a solid game, but it's got everything going for it except for the rules. I think the rules are fun, but it's just not a long-term keeper. Yeah, I mean that's where I put it. I don't know what else I can say.
All right. I see that. I'm looking at the screen that's up, and I see that. Fucking, is that Tuna, Mike? Who gave Revenge from Mars at 8.25.
He
you
did,
can't do
yeah,
that.
he did. Yeah, he did.
Son of a bitch.
That's
all right, I feel a little more bullish on this game. This is a game that makes me smile. I sort of love everything about it, just the presentation of it, what it is. I love the fulfilling shots on it. It's a easy 7.5 for me.
Okay.
At least I think, again, the asking price, if that's correct, is just it's too much. I mean, $1,200 was a steal, maybe undervalued, but this is just too high in the market where it's at. But overall, for what it is and where it falls in terms of pinball, 7.5. It's such a cool game. I do have some love for this game, no doubt. Maybe one day I'll have a nice one.
There you go. That's your review of Fishtails. Thanks, everybody. And that's going to almost do it for this episode of Brody Even Talk Pinball. Stay here for the much-beloved Topper Talk with Goren to wrap up the show. But before that, if you like the show, give us a follow on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow us on YouTube for all of our past videos, highlights of streams that are interesting, like the Lexi Lightspeed thing. You can smash that like button, do all the YouTube things.
Do all the YouTube things. Smash like, subscribe, blah, blah,
leave
blah,
a comment down
give
below.
A thumbs up.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Well, that's you gotta do that. That helps other people find our content. So if you're like, this is good stuff,
it is.
You're helping other people in the hobby. Try to do good.
NT Hits wants to know if we're on TikTok, and no, I'm too old for that. Sorry.
Never.
Pretty much everything else though.
I think Jay's got a TikTok account where he does dance.
Is it dances about finance, personal finance dance?
Yeah.
Email us, talkpinball@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitch if you want to watch us live, do this live. Watch us stream pinball gameplay live if you want to watch the 12 games in 12 hours coming up. And you can sub us there if you want to support the channel. And if you have Twitch Prime, you can sub at no extra cost to you. We would appreciate that. You can drop us a few bucks on PayPal if you're so inclined, or you can leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Again, that helps folks find the show and share it with their friends. So, Nick, any closing thoughts before we give it to Topper Talk?
Let's go over to Topper Talk. Thanks everybody for joining us. We love helping the pinball community and connecting and talking about the stuff even on months when there's not much going on. But hopefully we find it entertaining and helpful. And we're looking forward to you guys joining us on April 10th for the 12 hours of pinball streaming.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Have a good month.
It's Topper Talk with Goren right now. Let's all have some fun. This is about plastic on top of your pin. Go and buy one now. There's a topper here and a topper there. Here a topper, there a topper, everywhere a topper. It's critical to the gameplay experience. You must buy one now. It's your monthly fill of toppers right now. Topper Talk with Goren. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Topper Talk with Goren, the part of the podcast where Kevin and Nick give me about 3 to 5 minutes to talk about everything happening in the very active and profitable Topper community. Today, we'll be taking our first look at the new Stern Stranger Things pinball topper, as well as we'll be debuting a new segment called Hot Topper Takes. So let's head over to the real world and take a look at that.
Okay, now we're at the computer, so let's take a look at the video that Stern Pinball just released of their new Stranger Things topper. Okay, so we see pinball machine here. And here is the topper. Okay, I mean, it looks pretty cool right off the bat. You got those really cool infinity lights for a really nice light show. I think that's the first time that's ever been done on at least an official topper. But I do want to point out it's not the first time we've seen an effect like that on a pinball machine. The arcade's Homebrew Metroid actually has that effect in the back glass, and it's really, really cool. You got some nice artwork on the inside. Probably could have been molded figures back there for added effect, but had to save money somewhere, so I think it's just etched acrylic. Fits with the overall Stranger Things theme. I think it overall ties together the theming of the game and all the cool gimmicks that it has, like the projection mapping on the premium and LE. The black light kit that was an add-on, and this really takes it the next step further, sort of enhances the gameplay experience. But here's my problem. It comes in at about $650, we believe. And okay, yeah, at first glance, that's a steal. All the other Stern toppers recently were like $1,000. But one of the coolest toppers ever, the Black Knight, like animatronic head topper, was only about $450. So I don't know if this was made lower than the usual Stern topper as of recently to just make us think that it's a steal, but I honestly don't think it's worth it. Yes, I would love it on top of my machine, but at $650, that's pretty steep. Now, also, we're going to be debuting a really quick new segment called Hot Topper Takes, and a Buffalo Pinball viewer sent in this wonderful Avatar topper that does not enhance the gameplay experience one bit. I just look at this topper and I'm like, oh, the game is Avatar, but it says it right on the back glass, a couple inches right below. I'm not familiar with Avatar. I've never really played it. I don't know if it's an uninspired game, but the toppers for this game surely seem uninspired. I did a quick Google search of other Avatar toppers to see if there was something creative out there. Well, let's see what we got. Once again, the exact same thing. We have Avatar written a couple inches above where it says the game name on the back glass, and okay, surely there must be at least one more creative Avatar topper, but once again, we look at the same thing. It's another topper that just says Avatar. So not a fan, does not enhance the gameplay experience, and those are my topper hot takes.
All right, that's going to do it all for today's episode of Topper Talk with Goren. Tune in to the next podcast for another episode, and as always, get out there and buy a topper. Thank you for coming to my Topper Talk.